One of the main concerns when you have a camper van like this is being able to see what's going on while you're on the outside. So this is my solution for that. There are 4 cameras outside the van that all feed into this screen right here. This setup allows you to see everything that's going on outside of the van from the inside with all the windows covered without revealing your presence. And I decided to put this up here in the cab area so that you can also see what's going on while you're driving the vehicle. If you press these different buttons, it goes to each channel on here, and each channel is designated to a different camera, so you can see behind you, you can see to the left side or the right side while you're switching lanes, and it just makes it easier to drive a big vehicle like this and make sure you're not going to hit anything while you're at it. I usually put a divider wall in almost all of my builds so that I can have the maximum amount of privacy, but this client wanted to have window covers, so that gave me the room to put a swivel base on this seat. There's a lever underneath the seat that when you pull it, it allows the seat to move freely. And this locks in a few different positions. There's a 45 degree here, a 45 degree here. And then if you pull the lever again, then you can have it come straight back all the way. And then once it's in its full back position, when you sit on it, you can adjust this to however you want. So I put a desk behind the seat here on one of these swivel table mounts, a base that's on the side of the chair. And when you put it in, you can actually lock this into any position that you want. So you can have it down really low, you can have it up taller, but once you rotate this handle, that's how you lock it into place wherever you want it. And then the table just goes into the hole on the top. And then once it's in there, now you have a free moving desk. This table actually rotates 360 degrees. And because of the swing arm, it also swings out. So if you have this door open, you can actually put this toward the outside and have an extra table out there if you lower this down. So you can be on the outside of the van and using it for space out here if you wanted to do anything like that. I built a full-size shower in this van. The walls are a vinyl tile that were installed over plywood that was coated in a waterproof membrane. There's a 24 by 24 composite shower pan in the floor, and I installed it at an angle so that when the water is coming down, it comes down toward the drain, goes straight through the bottom of the van so that it can be captured in a water tank or just land on the grass if you're in a spot that's responsible to do so, assuming you're parked on level ground, of course. The shower hose actually has a few different options on it. There are buttons here so that you can switch the mode, and there's also a button on the back that allows you to control when you have water coming out. And if you ask me, this is one of the best ways to save on your water consumption. Rather than trying to find a shower head that uses less water, they tend to still use a ton of water no matter what. So if you ask me, just having it, doing the military style shower where you rinse, soap, rinse, I think that's the best way to do it, and you have full control with this style of shower head. This is where you control the hot and cold for the shower. Yes, this shower does have hot water. And then the last thing in here, we have a cassette toilet. There's no shower curtain here right now, but the client is going to be putting a shower curtain in. Next to the shower is the sink. I put it here to simplify the plumbing, and this was also just a really good spot for it. We have a stainless steel sink and faucet combo, and I put a cutting board in here to act as a cover so that you can use this as additional counter space. But when you're not using this and you pull it out of the way, we have a drying rack roll that you can put on here. You can access all of the plumbing for the shower and the sink in this cabinet underneath. I put these recessed handles in here. When you have handles in a small hallway space like this, it's really easy to snag on your clothes. Another thing is just keeping the cost and the weight down for this build. If you think about it, a lot of these handles that they sell cost anywhere between $5 or like $30. And if you counted all of the cabinet doors and drawers in this van, so you add it up, that's a lot of money that you save by not putting that in. There are magnets that also hold them in place so that nothing moves around while you're driving. All of the water goes through this RV style drain catch. The reason why I like having these inside instead of mounting them underneath the van is simply because I live in the Northeast, and this van is going to also be spending most of its time in the Northeast. And when you mount stuff underneath the van with plumbing, it's really easy for it to freeze. Yes, you can also put a tank heater under there to try to prevent the freezing, but I've had some mixed experiences with those in the past, so I prefer to just put it inside the van. Floor in here is made from 100% waterproof vinyl. This is, in my opinion, the most durable option. If you do have different changes in temperature and climate, these are not going to change shape. I was faced with the challenge of recreating a similar layout to one of the other sprinters that I did with this sprinter, but the problem is that this sprinter is significantly shorter in length than that one was. But just because this van is a little bit smaller than I was expecting, that doesn't mean I wasn't able to fit everything in here. For example, when I sit down here, you can kind of see how big I am compared to this bench. This bench is 6 feet long this way and 3 feet long on this seat here. You have actually enough room to sit 4 people here if you really wanted to pack in tight. And I was even able to fit some cup holders in on the side over here because I had a little bit of extra space. This bench lifts up from the top. You don't have to remove this cushion, but I'm going to, just so that you can see what's going on. There is a magnet over here on the side of the wall that has a corresponding piece of metal on the top of this bench. And when you lift it up, it grabs and holds on to that so that this stays up there. Once that is up, you have access to this 6 foot long storage area with a bigger section of storage over here. And this cabinet also houses the entire electrical system for this van. And I put it under here so that it would be easy to access everything while sitting on this bench. The battery has a 2048 watt hour capacity, which is plenty for a space like this. And it controls all of the power coming in and going out of this entire van. It's also a standalone unit, so if you wanted to, you can just unplug these 3 plugs right here and pick this up and walk away with it. I don't know why you'd want to do that because it's really heavy, but you can if you really wanted to. You can charge this with the shore power hookup that I installed in the back door. The engine of the van, while it's running, also charges this, and you get some charge from the solar panels up on the roof as well. All of the power in this van is being managed by this combination fuse panel and breaker box. All of the fuses are on this side, and then your breakers are on this side. Over here, this is your main fuse, as well as the cutoff switches for the solar and for the DC power. I'm just afraid that one day these are just going to malfunction and you're not going to be able to cut your power when you need to. So I like putting a physical switch on there. And then I also put some bus bars and an auxiliary plug so that you can plug in different kinds of solar panels if you need to. And that obviously closes up nice and easy, and the cushion goes right back on top. And again, you don't actually need to remove this cushion to pick that up, but I did that so that you viewers could see what I was talking about a little bit easier. But on this other bench that I was just sitting on, this is where the fridge is kept. This is a 12-volt fridge. When I lift this top part up, I actually didn't have to put a magnet there because I used a friction connection with the wood to just hold that up for me. And this fridge opens up on 2 different sides. If you open up both sides at the same time, you can actually remove the top, and that makes it really easy to clean on the inside. And this fridge can be programmed at any temperature that you want so that you can use it for either a fridge or a freezer. But there's only one compartment, so whatever you set it at, that's what it is. There are holes around this cabinet for ventilation so that the fridge can continue working while the condenser is on. This entire area also transforms into a bedroom pretty quickly. All you have to do is grab this cushion and remove it. And then once that's out of the way, you just hit these two latches, one on that side, one on the other side, and then this whole wall comes down. And then you have a RV queen-sized mattress. Now you can actually use the bed like this, but if you wanted a little bit more support, I actually made another function for this desk over here. If you look on the bottom, there's actually another piece of wood that's kind of recessed underneath here, and that's actually the exact height necessary to act as the leg for this bed. In my opinion, having the bed fold down from the wall is the perfect balance between having a fixed bed or a converting bed, because you still have a full bed, but it's not taking up the amount of space that a fixed bed does, and you can still use the space for something else. It makes it seem like you're really turning this into a completely different room when you bring this down. This setup allows you to seamlessly transition the space from a kitchen to a bedroom to an entertainment area to a utility space, all within seconds, keeping the space as flexible and functional as possible. At the back doors, there's also these storage nets that I put in that you can access from the inside or the outside of the van. And there's another one actually on this back wall behind the bed, so you can have your bedtime items there or utility items that you might need in both places. When the back door is open, you have easy access to all of the systems that you need to maintain. There's also a hookup to fill up your water, as well as a shore power hookup if you wanted to plug in and charge your battery that way. When the bed is up, you also have access to the kitchen right across from it. The entire kitchen is actually 9 feet long, and the counter is actually made from maple plywood that I laminated over the top with, and I just covered the edges with walnut so that it would look a little bit more luxurious than it actually is. But this is actually a really inexpensive and durable finish that you can use, and it also keeps the weight down in the van. Over here, this is the induction cooktop, and when you lift this up, you actually have access to control and maintain all of the plumbing for this van that's located underneath this area. Most of the components that you actually need access to, including the water inlet, the water pump, and the water filter, can all actually be accessed from the back doors, but this hole right here just makes it easier if you need to get to the water heater or check on the plugs for this or anything like that. Above the kitchen, I put in an RV style window. I like using these windows because they have a screen. You have a pretty good airflow and circulation when you turn on the roof vent that we'll get to a little bit later. Towards the front of the kitchen near the door, I actually installed a hidden entertainment system in here as well. There are these remotes on the side. This one is wireless, and when you hit the up arrow, then the TV that's inside of this cabinet starts to come up out of there. If you just press it once, it'll come all the way up on its own, but you can make fine adjustments to it with this wired remote that's here. If you hold the buttons up or down, then you can stop it at whatever position that you want it to. But of course, usually you're probably just gonna raise it all the way or lower it all the way down. You'll also notice that when I pressed that button, I didn't have to move this wood out of the way. It moves automatically. Now, I've actually used this TV lift in a few of my other vehicles that I built before, but this time I wanted to modify it so that I could put a swivel base on the lift as well. So it not only just raises up, but I can also move the TV. Now, this is a locking swivel base, so this TV doesn't actually move unless I pull this string that I put underneath here. When you pull this string, then the TV releases and it moves freely, and you can have it face here while you're sitting in the desk, and you can use it as an extra monitor. You can also have it at an angle facing toward the seating area. You can have it here so that you can see it while you're in the bed. And my favorite part about it is you can also open up the door and you can twist this all the way around so that you can actually use the TV from the outside. You can be having your party or whatever you're doing. You might have a Smash Bros tournament. That's something that I would do. out here, and you have clear view of the TV from anywhere out here, and it just makes the entire van feel so much bigger when you include the space on the outside. Now, because I needed to fit so many things in this kitchen, I actually didn't have a ton of space for storage, so I did put these drawers in the front here, but the main storage for the kitchen is actually up above the kitchen. I put these doors on this upper cabinet that are laminated to match the counter, and it's the same thing with no handles on here, but these do lock down in the down position, and then when you open them, they're held up by these special spring hinges. I also put an outlet up in this cabinet as well because I wanted this to be a designated charging station. There's also another smaller storage shelf up above the bed on the wall here, and there's another identical storage cabinet to the ones above the kitchen that's right here above the sink. I installed this control panel above the door so that when you first come in, you have control over your lights and stuff. The first one controls the main lights in here, and there's also a dimmer for it. I did the ceiling lights in this van with 12-volt continuous LED lighting that I embedded into the walnut trim like a track, and it's dimmable like you saw earlier with the switch in the front of the van, so that allows you to set the lighting for any situation. And these second two switches are actually for the exterior lights. When I installed the solar panels on this roof, I used an aluminum track so that I could prevent having leaks by putting less holes in the van, and I also used those tracks to mount some floodlights. So when I hit these switches, the lights come on the outside of the van. Behind that, there's one more switch, and this controls the water pump. So when that's on, you can use the sink and the shower, and when it's not on, you can't use those things because there's nothing pulling the water to the faucets. Nearly everything in this van is made from solid walnut, hard maple, and maple plywood. I was able to kind of find the balance between using quality materials, keeping the weight down, and making everything come together and look cohesive. This was hopefully the first of many client builds that I'm going to be doing, so if you have a van that you want me to build and you can get your van to the Western New York area, then check out in the description. I have a website where you can put in a build request form, and then I can see if maybe I might be able to build your van depending on your circumstances. If you like seeing this van right here, then you'll probably like seeing me build this van, and you can watch that video right now. Catch you next time, and stay safe out there, I guess.